Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here this evening, and thank you all at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, as always, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so would everybody please rise? And Councilman Lombardi, would you lead us this evening?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just ask that we all remain standing and remember our servicemen and women around the world who won't be spending this holiday season with their families so that we can spend it with ours.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending. This is our final Town Board meeting for 2017. We won't be meeting again until January 3rd of 2018. Hard to believe that 18 is weeks away, but we're moving forward. So the final meeting of the year is the Town Board voting meeting, and for the record, all Town Board members are present with us this evening, as is our Town Clerk, Ann Spofford. All the way down to my right and all the way down to my left is Greg Fulchetti. He's our Town Counsel, and Joe Charbonneau, behind Greg, is also Special Counsel to the Town Board as well. So we're all in attendance this evening, and thank you once again for being here. So this is a Town Board voting meeting, and the first item on the agenda this evening is to accept the Town Board minutes of November 21st, 2017. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, next item on the agenda, this is resolution number 1. It's a resolution accepting a proposal for services for the Town of Carmel website. Councilman Schneider, would you resolution number 1, please?
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby accepts the proposal of Virtual Town Hall Holdings, LLC of Boxborough, Massachusetts, for revisions and updates to the Town of Carmel website at a cost not to exceed $3,000, and in accordance with the proposal on file in the Office of the Town Supervisor. And be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign any and all documentation necessary to accept the proposal and authorize the actions contained herein. And be it further resolved that the Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilman Schneider, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi. Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution number 2 is a resolution authorizing budget revisions number 2017/07. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 2, please?
Sure. Whereas the Town Controller has reviewed the proposed final budget modifications for the period ending November 30th, 2017, with the Town Board, which are detailed and explained on the attached budget revision schedule. Now therefore be it resolved, the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes and ratifies the final budget modifications/revisions for the period ending November 30th, 2017, as shown on itemized schedule 2017-07, which is attached here to, incorporated hereof, and made part hereof. I offer the resolution as read.
Okay.
Seconded.
Need a second? Second by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution number 3 is a resolution authorizing entry into contracts with Penflex Incorporated for Service Award Program Administration. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 3, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of Carmel Fire Districts, Protection Districts 1 and 2, hereby authorizes entry into service aware, should be award, sorry, it's service award program, service agreements with Penflex of Latham, New York for the administration services for the Fire Protection District's service award programs for year 2018 as contained within the proposal of September 1st, 2017, which is attached hereto and made a part hereof, at estimated costs of $6,400 for Fire Protection District 1 and $7,000 for Fire Protection District Number 2. And be it further resolved that the Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign any and all documentations required to effect this authorization on the terms set forth herein. I offer this resolution as read, and also with the correction of aware to award.
Okay, offered by Councilman Lupinacci,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 4, is a resolution authorizing a reduction of a bond. This is for Ronan Property Group, LLC, tax map number 74.11-1-20. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 4, please?
Sure. Whereas the application has been made by Ronan Property Group LLC for reduction of a site plan bond posted in accordance with the land subdivision and/or zoning regulations for the property owned by applicant located at 3 Green Acres Lane, Mahopac, New York, tax map number 74.11-1-20. And whereas said application has been previously reviewed by the town engineer and a reduction of the bond has been previously recommended and approved by the planning board. And now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Carmel hereby authorizes the reduction of the aforementioned bond posted for by the Ronan Property Group LLC from its current amount of $189,000 to $37,800. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And if anybody's wondering where Green Acres Lane is, it's off of Secor Road. So this is a new commercial building that was constructed just prior to where the Secor Deli is on Secor Road. But the address is 3 Green Acres Lane. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is a resolution authorizing extension of a contract for operation and maintenance service Carmel Awards for Carmel Sewer Districts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and Carmel Water Districts 2, 3, and 12. Councilman Schneider, would you read 5, please?
Be it resolved that the town board of the town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the 8 duly formed sewer districts of the town of Carmel and acting as commissioners of Carmel Water Districts number 2, 3, and 12, hereby authorizes entry into extension of the existing contract for operation and maintenance services for the reference sewer districts and water districts with Inframark LLC, formerly known as Severn Trent Environmental Services, through and including February 28, 2018, and be it further resolved that the town supervisor, Kenneth Schmidt, is hereby authorized to execute the extension agreement as authorized herein. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution authorizing the awarding of a bid for town hall cleaning services. This is contract number C-249. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 6, please?
Sure. Whereas the town board of the town of Carmel had previously authorized advertisements for the solicitation of bids for town hall cleaning services for year 2018 and 19, and whereas such bids were received and opened on November 15, 2017, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of town engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby awards the bids for town hall cleaning services to CTE Inc., Reliable Cleaning Systems, Carly Place, New York, the lowest responsible bidder who met specifications at a base contract cost of $35,870 for year 2018, $36,800 for year 2019, and 2 single-year options for renewal in favor of the town of Carmel at a base contract cost of $37,900 and $39,000 for 2020 and 2021 respectively. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign any and all necessary documentation to accept the proposal and authorize the action contained herein. And be it further resolved, the town controller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 7, is a resolution authorizing payment for emergency repairs at Carmel Sewer District number 2. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 7?
Resolved that the town board of town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of Carmel Sewer District number 2, and upon recommendation of town engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes payment for emergency repairs to Mechanic Street pump station generator within Carmel Sewer District 2 as performed by MagPro Services LLC, Carmel, New York, in accordance with the invoice dated November 22nd, 2017, at a cost of $7,640.13. And be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign any and all documentation necessary to authorize the actions contained herein, and be it further resolved that Town Comptroller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Okay.
Seconded?
Seconded by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Kazaki.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 8, is a resolution authorizing payment for emergency repairs to Carmel Water District Number 3. Susie, would you read 8, please?
Sure. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 3, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes payment for emergency repairs to the Carmel Water District Number 3 wells, specifically well number 3 and well number 5, to B&J Plumbing, Mahopac, New York, in the total amount of $15,143.50, in accordance with the invoice dated December 14th, 2017. And be further resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 3, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes payment for potable water supplied as a result of emergency repairs needed upon to the Carmel Water District Number 3 wells to Durkin Water Company, LLP, Brewster, New York, B&J Plumbing, Mahopac, New York, in the total amount of $7,166.18, in accordance with the invoices dated December 14th, 2017. Be further resolved, the Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget transfers or modifications required to fund the cost of this authorization. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Kazaki.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 9, is a resolution order calling for a public hearing in the matter of the increase and improvement of the facilities of Carmel Water District Number 2 in the town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York. And this public hearing will be on January 10th, 2018. We'll just change that to an 8. January 10th, 2018. Councilman Schneider, would you read Resolution 9, please?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, has caused to be prepared a map plan and report including an estimate of cost pursuant to Section 202B of the Town Law relating to the increase and improvement of the facilities of Carmel Water District Number 2 in the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, here as known as the Water District, consisting of the purchase and installation of approximately 1,300 linear feet of water main, including original furnishings, equipment, machinery, apparatus, appurtenances, and incidental improvements and expenses in connection therewith at a maximum estimated cost of $2.3 million. And whereas said project has been determined to be a Type 2 action pursuant to the regulations of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, promulgated pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQR, the implementation of which, as proposed, such regulations provided, will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and whereas it is now desired to call a public hearing on the question of the increase and improvements of the facilities of said water district in the manner described above, and to hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning the same in accordance with the provisions of Section 202B of the Town Law. Now therefore, it is hereby ordered by the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, as follows. Section 1, a public hearing will be held at the Town Hall in Mahopac, New York, in said town on January 10th, 2018, at 7:00 p.m. prevailing time, on the question of the increase and improvements of the facilities of the Water District in the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, New York, in a manner described in the preambles hereof, and to hear all persons interested in the subject thereof concerning the same, and to take such action thereon as is required or authorized by law. Section 2, the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to cause a copy of the public notice, the notice of public hearing, hereinafter provided to be published once in the official newspaper, and also to cause a copy thereof to be posted on the signboard of the town. Such publication and posting to be made not less than 10 and no more than 20 days before the date designated of the hearing. Section 3, the notice of public hearing shall be in substantially the form attached hereto as Exhibit A and hereby made a part thereof. Section 4, the order will take effect immediately. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi and Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lubianchi.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you.
Kenny,
Yes.
just one thing. I need to go back to resolution number 8, because when I read it, we have to amend it.
There's a double recitation of one of the vendors in the second paragraph, so.
In the second paragraph, it states, hereby authorizes payment for potable water supplied as a result of emergency repairs needed upon to the Carmel Water District Number 3 wells to Durkin Water Company LLP, Brewster, New York, and then B&J Plumbing in the amount. B&J Plumbing should be taken out of it. The $7,166.18 is going to the Durkin Water Company, not B&J, so
Okay.
B&J was in the prior
it needs to
recitation.
be amended.
Let's see, you want to,
I second
All
the
right,
motion to
so-
amend.
So you're making a motion to amend?
I'm making a motion to amend, yeah.
Councilman Lupinacci seconds the motion to amend the resolution.
John, will you show it to Ann? Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we need to do a roll call vote on that, or just all in favor? Okay, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, thanks, Susan. Thanks
Yep,
for
you're
picking that
welcome.
up. Yep. Okay, all right, next resolution, number 10, is a resolution authorizing submission of a certification form to the New York State Economic Development Assistance Program and the New York State Dormitory Authority Grant Project, ID number 3654. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 10, please?
Sure. Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the submission of a certification form and all necessary attachments to the New York State Dormitory Authority in connection with grant project ID number 3654, sought from and/or awarded by the New York State Economic Development Assistance Program in connection with the improvements of existing facilities and construction of a municipal recreation facility at Sycamore Park. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor is hereby authorized to sign said certification form and any and all necessary addenda for submission to the New York State Dormitory Authority on behalf of the town. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lubianchi.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 11, is a resolution authorizing removal of the clerk to the town justice title from the collective bargaining unit of the Town of Carmel employees represented by the CSEA, Local 1000 AFSCME, AFL-CIO, Town of Carmel Unit, Putnam County, Local 840. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 11, please?
Resolved that based on factors including notification of the Town of Carmel by the County of Putnam Personnel Department that the title Clerk to Town Justice cannot be included within a collective bargaining unit because it is an exempt class and confidential, as those terms are defined by the New York State Civil Service Law effective January 1st, 2018, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby removes the title Clerk of Town Justice from the collective bargaining unit of the Town of Carmel employees represented by the Civil Service Employees Association, Inc., Local 1000 AFSCME, Town of Carmel Unit, Putnam County, Local 840. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lubianchi.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Let me just explain a little bit further. These two employees, they're appointed by the town justices. So each town justice has an appointed clerk to the town justice. For years, they've been part of the bargaining unit for the CSEA, which they should not have been. They are exempt employees because they're appointed. They serve at the pleasure of the town justices. So they should not be in the collective bargaining unit. They should not be CSEA members. They're exempt. They're not non-exempt. They're exempt. So we were notified by the Putnam County personnel that the town board needed to act on this, and we needed to remove those two appointed clerks to the town justice from the collective bargaining unit of the CSEA. So they're remaining employees of the town. They're still working for us, but they will no longer be part of the CSEA. They are exempt, and they serve at the pleasure of the justices, and their salaries are actually set at the request of the justices. The justices make a recommendation to the town board with respect to their salaries, and then the town board acts on that. So they're still employed by us. It's just they're no longer part of the collective bargaining unit because it was a violation of the CSEA. It was actually a violation of the civil service law of the state of New York that they were part of a bargaining unit. So just want to explain that further so everybody understands. They're still employed by us, still appointed by the justices, but no longer part of the CSEA. Okay. Resolution number 12 is a resolution authorizing entry into an agreement for consulting engineering services. Before we move further on this, I'm going to make a motion to hold off on acting on this agreement, to table this resolution for this evening's voting meeting, and to schedule it for a later date to act on. So I make a motion to table number 12, and it's the authorizing entry into an agreement for consulting engineering services. I make that motion to table.
I second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi, to table for a future voting meeting. Ann, could you do a roll call vote to table?
Councilman Schneider.
Abstain.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Abstain.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Abstain.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Aye. So the table fails as 3 town board members have abstained from voting on this, on the table. So it doesn't, so we're going to go on with the resolution because it failed to be tabled. All right, so the resolution is authorizing entry into agreement for consulting services, and it's number 12 on the agenda. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read Resolution 12, please?
Yes, resolved that the town board of the town of Carmel hereby authorizes the entry into an agreement with John E. Fulchetti, P.E., of J. Robert Fulchetti and Associates, LLC, of Brewster, New York, for consulting engineering services to be rendered to the town of Carmel in form as attached hereto and made a part hereof. And be it further resolved, the town supervisor, Kenneth Schmidt, is hereby authorized to execute the referenced agreement on behalf of the town of Carmel. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, it's offered by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Abstain.
Supervisor Schmidt.
No. So the motion carries 3 yeses, 1 abstention, and 1 no, so it carries. So let me I just want to, for the benefit of the public, I want to explain my no. The reason I voted no is because I'm not comfortable voting on this tonight as the contract is proposed. There's certainly some issues that I personally have with the language in the contract. There's items that I'm going to question further. I'd like to question further, but at this point, it's a moot point because the board acted on it and they voted in favor of supporting the contract as it's written. The other issue I have and the other concern I have is that Councilman-elect Mike Borelli did request of this board to table this to extend the current agreement of John Fulchetti. And by the way, this is no reflection on Mr. John Fulchetti as an engineer. He happens to be an excellent engineer. He does a great job. He's worked for us in the past, and I think he's very familiar with water and sewer issues and infrastructures in the town of Carmel. It's got nothing to do with that. This is all has to do with business, and it has to do with the way the proposed contract is written. I'm not in favor of it. As it's written, I'm sure that we could have come to some type of compromise with the language that's in the contract, but we didn't. And that's why I'm voting no. And the other concern I have is that this contract, as it's written, requires my signature. And although the board authorized me to sign it, at this time I'm going to advise the board that I'm not comfortable signing it, and I won't sign it. So I don't know how the board is going to deal with that particular issue, but
Deputy supervisor signs it.
do they? Okay.
Right? Deputy
I
supervisor.
don't think so, John.
The board would have to designate another individual to sign it. Could be the deputy supervisor, could be any board member. So, if it's not going to be signed.
Well, the current deputy supervisor is Councilman Lombardi. But Councilman Lombardi abstained from voting on this, so I'm not sure if he's going to...
Hear why?
Sure, let me hear why.
So obviously, this will be my last meeting, and there's a new board coming in January, and Councilman-elect Borelli has, although he has, from what I understand, participated in some of the discussion in executive session, I believe that he and the town, moving forward into the next year, he should be given an opportunity to be part of the discussion and to actually be up on the dais to give his opinion and to vote on it. Now, whether or not it passes or not, whether or not it would have passed or not, you know, he would have had his opportunity to speak on the issue, and I think that, and at least in my perspective, that's only fair for me to do for the incoming town board and for the incoming council person. So that's why I abstained from it. And again, just like you said, it's no reflection on John Fulchetti and his work. I've worked with John for the past 5 or 6 years. His work is second to none. But again, it's a big portion of the town's business, the engineering consultant services, and we don't have a very long break because Christmas happens to fall. We only have the next meeting of the town is in 2 weeks. So whether the vote would have been on the 3rd or the 10th, it would have given Councilman-elect Borelli an opportunity from the dais to voice his opinion and to actually vote on it. So that's why I abstained.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Frank. You know, I was hoping that we wouldn't have to do this less than a week before Christmas, but, you know, it's business, and that's what, we acted on it tonight, but I don't feel comfortable ending the year on this particular note. It's unfortunate, but the majority of the board spoke, and we need to move forward from that, so.
If you wanted somebody else to sign it, you need to offer a new resolution.
So Frank, are you not going to sign it? I know you abstained, you explained why. Will you not sign it as deputy supervisor?
I guess I should speak to council about what we should do.
Anybody who is designated by the board is authorized to sign it. You'd have to, if Supervisor Schmidt's not inclined to sign it in the face of the authorization, then the board can designate any party to do so. Doesn't have to be the deputy supervisor, it can be the deputy supervisor.
I would think it probably should be signed by someone who voted yes on it.
I don't disagree, but it's up to the board.
I make a motion to designate Susan McDonough to sign the contract of Richard E. Franzetti, P.E., of J. Robert Franzetti and Associates, LLC, of Brewster, New York.
You have to amend.
Amend that.
I can't make a new?
I don't think.
I just made a motion to make a new one.
Right, I just don't think you said the consultant's name. I think you said our town engineer's name.
No, I said John E. Franzetti, P.E., of J. Robert Franzetti and Associates, LLC.
You said Richard's name.
Do those Italian names confuse you now?
Exactly. There's an echo.
Exactly.
Fulchetti.
That was,
Or do you want to amend it? You could open it back up and amend it.
You can amend the resolution. I think that would be the best way to do it if you're inclined to have a separate board member execute the agreement. Okay?
Can she make the motion?
Make a motion to amend the resolution if that's what the plan is.
So I do need to amend the resolution to authorize myself.
I would just redo the whole resolution. with
Oh, okay.
the substitute
Resolved that
part in
the
it.
town board of the town of Carmel hereby authorizes the entry in an agreement with John E. Fulchetti, P.E. of J. Robert Fulchetti and Associates, LLC of Brewster, New York, for consulting engineering services to be rendered to the town of Carmel in form as attached hereto and made a part hereof. And be it further resolved, the town Councilwoman Suzanne McDonough is hereby authorized to execute the referenced agreement on behalf of the town of Carmel. I offer this resolution as amended.
Second.
okay, Susie, it's amended?
And I second-
Yes.
I
You second
second it.
Yeah, I'm just crossing it off so I can put it here.
All right, it was amended by Councilwoman McDonough and seconded by Councilman Lupinacci to amend the resolution to authorize Councilwoman McDonough to sign the contract. So, roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Abstain.
Supervisor Schmidt?
I abstain. So it passed, 3 yeses and 2 abstentions. Okay, that completes the agenda items for this evening's Town Board voting meeting. At this time, I'm going to open up the floor to public comment on the agenda items that we covered this evening. Mike?
Hi, I'm Mike Borelli. Mr. Lombardi, first thing I want to say is we bumped heads a lot in the last 8 years. I've done that with a lot of guys over, ladies.
So I didn't hear what
and
you said before.
we bumped heads a
Oh,
lot
yes, yes.
in the last 8 years. I've done that with a lot of board members over the last 25 years.
Yes.
That was a classy thing you did tonight. I want to thank you for it. And I appreciate it.
It's the
If
right-
I could take a
the
bit
right
more
thing-
than 3 minutes.
the
Now, I'm
right
going to make
thing-
it really quick. Be 5 minutes.
It was the right thing to do.
Thank you. About a month ago, after I won and realized I was going to have to go up there on that side, I said to my kids in the office, I go, do I go in like how I conduct most of my business? Should I go in, hard and do what I usually do, or nasty, and should I go in nice? And out of a back office, Nicole's, she goes, Dad, go in nice, because your nice is nasty enough to most people. And then at Emily's office, I hear, second that, Katie goes, Dad, listen to Nicole. So in the last month, I thought I did everything right. I met all the department heads, met the highways, took a tour of the police department, which I must tell you publicly is the absolute most disgusting office I've ever seen in my life. Parks department. I mean, took a suitcase to Florida with me and read up on the town for about 3 or 4 days. And I asked publicly here, everybody that's up here, 3, 4 times, any important contracts you have to sign, please wait till after January. And especially this one. And I remember Mrs. McDonough's comment, well, if we do that, we can't pass the budget. And you passed the budget. I asked it publicly several times. I asked it privately several times. In executive session, which you were kindly enough to invite me into for the discussion on this matter, I asked again. I said, give everybody 90 days. It's Christmas. It's the holidays. Do you really want to get into this now? Do you know how many people would be here if it wasn't Christmas? Tonight's number 5 on the agenda. I mean, let me word it this way. If we gave them a 90-day extension, one, would it harm the taxpayers? No, nothing changes. One, would it harm the town board? No, nothing changes. So why are we here before Christmas discussing this? So obviously, the nice way didn't work. Tonight's number 5, you gave a 60-day extension to. What's the difference? What was the difference, Ms. McDonough, Mr. Lupinacci, Mr. Schneider? What was the difference? Number 6, was it 6 the one with the building being cleaned?
Yes.
You told me on that one that the vendor's leaving at the end of the year. We have nobody at the first of the year. In my mind, in the big scheme of running the town, it was a Mickey Mouse contract. I said, do what you have to do. Okay? I don't want the building to be any dirtier than it is right now. You invited me into executive session, which I didn't think we were going to have because talking to everybody and the attorneys involved, this was not even an issue up until about the 15th of the month. And I was kind enough to be included by an email from Mr. Lupinacci that says, why don't we have this on an agenda? There's only 2 things left. We can't go without a consulting engineer. Now, I'm not crazy because I remember saying 90 days, 90 days. Mr. Lupinacci sent out a memo, and Ms. McDonough agreed with it and says, let's get hold of the attorney, let's get this done. No problem. It's business. You don't want to kick the can down the road, right? I'm invited into an executive session. As I sit down in the executive session, I'm handed a final version of a contract. Now, 1, did I see the contract previously? I'm not going to lie to you. Of course I did. Did I analyze the contract previously? I'm not going to lie to you. Of course I did. But I didn't see the final version of the contract till I sat down at that table. I asked the vendor as he came in and sat with the town board and the secretary and the controller. I says, can I ask you a question? And he says, you asked me one. You asked me already. You want to ask me another one? So I said, okay, we're going to be humorous. I says, yeah, do you mind if we give you a 90-day extension and let this sit till after Christmas? Why deal with this now at Christmas? He goes, no, I don't have a problem with a 90-day extension. And this is what he said to me, quote unquote. But I'd like to know your problems tonight, and I'd like to discuss them tonight. And Ms. McDonough says, I agree. Now, I don't know how you run the political world, but I'll tell you how I run a business world. When I sit down with a vendor and he says he wants to discuss it now, I usually walk out of the room because I'll tell the vendor when we'll discuss it because I'm hiring the vendor. With all due respect to the vendor and Ms. McDonough, I stayed there. And I said, okay, but I'm going to make this short because I don't like wasting time, which I'm not going to do in the next 4 years. I'm not going to waste anybody's time. So I put the contract in the middle of the table, and I put my right hand over it. And I turned to Ms. McDonough, and I said, Sue, is this the best we can do for the taxpayers of the town of Carmel? And you said yes. And then I said,
I said more than yes, but I'm going to let you keep on going.
then I said, are you sure? And you said yes. The gist was yes. Am I right or wrong?
You're wrong.
Okay.
I did say yes.
Okay, I'm
I
wrong.
did
That's
say
fine.
yes,
That's
but-
fine.
but
Let me
I'll-
finish,
yeah.
and then you could say how wrong I am. Then I turned to Mr. Lupinacci, and I said the same thing. And Mr. Lupinacci said yes and yes. I asked twice. Then I asked the supervisor, and he says, no, I think changes have to be made.
No.
And then I turned,
Yes.
I believe, to Mr. Schneider. I'm sorry, if I might have got out of order, I might have got out of order. And I asked you the same question, and there's a little twinkle in your eye. You hesitated for a little while, and you're trying to figure out how to answer it. But in the end, you answered yes to. Now, I could be mistaken on all of you, so you got 3 to tell me I'm wrong. But then I turned to the attorney, and I asked him a question that I knew he couldn't answer. I says, Counselor, do you think this is the best? He goes, I can't answer that. I'm the attorney. I says, I know. I knew you couldn't answer it. That's why I want to ask you this, Counselor. I says, if we agree to this contract in the way it's written, do we give total control to one person for all the business up to a certain amount of money, plus stuff that was added in since the last contract? And he said yes, which was the right, truthful answer. When I heard that from everybody, and after the attorney said that, I didn't want to be part of the conversation. I didn't want to be there. Okay? because I told everybody that people are going to look at me 3 different ways. They look at this group as politicians, we're looking at politicians. People are going to look at me saying, why am I doing this? What am I getting out of it? I'm a politician, and 3, is he doing what he said he's going to do? So I'm going to have my life analyzed for the next 4 years, which I don't like, but I'm doing it. It's part of the job. So I start to get up and I leave. Very nice, guys. You guys got 3 votes. Vote on it. You know, we're wasting our time here. You can't. I will not be handed a contract of this magnitude, or even a lesser contract, and be asked to make a decision and work out the problems when I just was handed the contract with 6 people in the room where I can't speak on it, or I can't read it. Now, I've rushed before with deals, and my late partner beat me left and right. And in the last 2 years, I rushed deals too. And Emily, and it cost me money all the time, and my partner Tommy money, and at that time Nicole money and Howard money, because I rushed it. And I'm not doing it. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. I mean, this meeting was supposed to be last night. But no, that was changed, and it was advertised in the papers last night. But that was changed, again, to go back to Wednesday night. And it's the last meeting before Christmas, and this happens every year, because Monday at 3:05, I started cursing at my computer, and Emily comes out yelling, "What's the matter, Dad?" And I go, "They did it again." They dumped the big thing on the public before Christmas, the last item on the agenda. It's been done numerous times. Here's the last 5 years, December's agendas. Last year was the reval. The hearing overview of the reval. That's what you did last Christmas, the week of Christmas. You forgot to say 2 things tonight. Mr. Schneider, Mr. Lupinacci, Ms. McDonough, you forgot to wish the people Merry Christmas for the gift you attempted to give them tonight. I'll wish a Merry Christmas and remind them in 20 months there's another primary. And I'm going to hold all my thoughts and my actions on this until I'm sitting on that side. Because my first resolution is going to be to kill this. And then when you vote no, I'm going to tell you why you better. Okay? Because a deaf, dumb, blind man can see this is total crap. Have a good night. Merry Christmas. Healthy, Happy New Year. All I asked was for a 90-day extension. You brought this on yourself.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Anyone else that would like to come up? Tracy?
I
Well,
just,
hold on.
wait. I just
There were
have to.
questions asked.
Yeah, there
You
was
and
just a
Frank were
few
able to
things.
explain your vote. There were questions asked.
Don,
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
can
I'm
tell
with
me.
you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
The first thing I want to say is I have always respected everybody's decision up here, and for the last 8 years, we will always agree to disagree. That's my philosophy. I don't get upset. It's just we agree to disagree, and that's what happens in a lot of things, but especially up here in government. So I'm not upset that anybody voted for or against it or abstained. That's just part of the process. And I have absolutely no problem at all. I just need to clarify a few things, and I was speaking with counsel because usually executive session, we're not allowed to talk what happens in executive session. But because we had someone come into executive session, Mr. Borelli come in, that's why he was allowed to speak about what happened in executive session. So I just need the public to make that aware. when we started talking about it, Mike did say, Susie, are you happy with this agreement? And I had the agreement, and I also had Mr. Lupinacci's text with about, quite a few different variables on it. And I said, I'd like to sit down and talk about both of them because John has some good ideas. Let's mix them up. Let's talk about it. That's why we're in here. That's what I said. I didn't say yes. I said, I'm here to discuss it. Let's add it in, and then we can continue to discuss it. And the second thing.
Twice.
Oh, yeah, I did. I said yes twice. And I said, with my 2 pieces of paper, because I kept his email, I said, I want to do this contract and put in this. Let's get these together, and then let's talk about if there's anything else in the contract that we need to change, to modify, to add, or anything like that. Okay? That's what I said. I didn't say, yes, this is it. So please, everybody out there in the audience and TV land, that is not what happened. I had multiple things, and just so everybody knows, we stayed an hour and a half longer to discuss the contract. That's what happens in executive session. You sit and you talk about things, all right? And then, Mike, you said that you turned to Kenny, and Kenny said yes. The first time, Kenny said no. The first time, Kenny did not say no. When you asked Kenny if he thought that this was good, Kenny said yes.
With my add-ons.
With his add-ons, okay? Then he went around, then you went to Jonathan. Jonathan said yes, and then you went back to Kenny, and Kenny said no. Okay, so he did say again with the add-ons. So I want people to understand that we looked at this contract, and there were quite a few changes made, and I believe for the better, okay? Things were lowered, percentage rates, et cetera, et cetera. That is why I decided to move ahead with it tonight. But I just needed to clarify because, yes, did I say yes? I said yes, but looking at the two, let's sit down and discuss it. John had some good points. So I needed to clarify that. And Mike, I know some other people wanted to talk.
Well, I want to hear what everybody says.
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
correct one thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by all means, I respect you. I'm not upset or anything.
I just want to
Yeah.
emphasize that I asked that I just received this contract, and I don't want to discuss anything I just received. It's not good business. That's what I said.
Okay, first off, I do appreciate your disposition coming up here, because you were very calm, and I do respect that, and I appreciate it, and thank you to your daughters for, holding you back and saying, Dad, go in there, with a positive thought. And I look forward to working with you on the board, and you know that
Yes.
that is sincere, because I've said that to you in the past, over the last few months. I've always said up here for the last 6 years, the devil's in the detail. And what you said is true, except there's a lot more detail to it. I, and John Fulchetti sat down beginning of November and started to look at the contract. You and John Fulchetti worked alone without me on a second visit to work up the contract.
Same visit, same office.
A week later, though, or 2 days later, or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, 2 days later. So a second visit, but and then you and I've met a couple times, and you voiced my concerns, and I said to you, voice these concerns to the board. When we asked you to come into executive session, and when I saw it, when I sent out my email, you said, John, what are you doing? And I said, I'm trying to manage the town, or help manage the town, because we need to give an extension. We need something on this thing. And you said, why did you write all those add-ons or changes? I said, because that's my input, 1 of 5. That's what I do. And I said, Mike, you're going to get used to it. That's what I do. I usually put out an email to the board, just like we're going to have, very long email, I apologize for that. But just like organizational meeting that we're going to have on the 3rd, I'm the only board member, and yourself included, board member-elect, that actually read the 46 agenda items for the organizational meeting, and I went back and said, hey, here are 5 items that I see to prep for our caucus or for our pre-meeting to go over the organizational meeting. So that's how I operate. I wasn't trying to overstep or step on your toes, because my first thing was, we could do a 90-day extension. When we got to that meeting of the organizational meeting, what was in front of you was the current contract. It did not even have what I had in my email. So it couldn't have been the final, because I read the current at that point in time, and I added per my email, and they weren't merged together. So it wasn't the final. You said it was final. It wasn't the final. It was the current. And when you said, is this the best contract? I said, it's a good contract, but it could be better. Let's have the dialogue. And I also looked right across the table at John Fulchetti and said, I don't mind a 90-day extension, but let's at least, we have all the parties. We asked Joe Charbonneau to come in, we asked Mary Ann to come in, we asked John, the vendor, to come in, and we invited you in. Let's have a dialogue to start the process. I also told you in the office the night before is we could have a short dialogue with the vendor, then the vendor could leave, and we could have a short dialogue with the town. That doesn't mean that we're going to get it done. But then when you left, I'm not going to lie to you, it lit a fire a little bit and said, let's start going through this and let's scrutinize this. Just so you know, Kenny and Frank 4 years ago voted yes for the contract, and the new contract.
4 years ago was different times.
No, agreed. You're 100% correct.
Years ago, you fired a town engineer.
I acknowledge
You had
what you're
somebody
saying.
incompetent in the seat. It was a
Agreed.
different time. Do not compare 4 years ago's contract to this.
But that contract, I acknowledge what you say, and I agree with you. Not going to argue with you on that. But this contract here, we've lowered the percentages, made them caps, not guaranteed. We have added services that he recommended to add. We don't have a GIS system in the town. We're one of the only towns in the area that doesn't have a GIS system. We don't have an asset management system. He's going to do that all for base services. We've added.
Mr. Lupinacci, I didn't think we were going to get into this tonight. What part did
But-
you
but-
and
but-
Ms. McDonough didn't hear that I said I was Ann, did you put some of my contracts in front of me? That night in executive session, you said you have the,
What
you have the contract. I assumed it's the latest contract.
I'm sorry.
What part-
I didn't interrupt you. Why do you now come up
Because
and
we're
interrupt me?
going to go on all night. I just want to clarify one thing.
Okay.
I just asked for a 90-day extension, that I didn't want to discuss it. That's all I asked for. So tell me now what was wrong with the night. Forget about everything else. The rest is all smoke and mirrors, what you guys are saying. Tell me why we couldn't have a 90-day
Mike,
extension.
I just
Why did we
appreciate-
have to do it tonight? Why? If you tell us all the great things on it, I'll stay up here all night. I'll take my two daughters, empty that suitcase out, and we'll debate you here till 2 o'clock in the morning, because now it's public. We're not in executive session. You could also tell the public this is the only town out of 14 that has 2 engineers.
That's not true.
It's the only town. Prove it to me. You said on your email 1 or 2 other towns have an engineer and a consulting engineer. I have the contracts in my bag.
Bedford.
I'll pull them all out.
Bedford.
I'll pull them all out.
Bedford.
Do me a favor.
It's not a town engineer.
This is
It's
smoke
called-
and mirrors.
it's
The three
called-
can say whatever you want.
Department of Public
All I
Works.
asked for was a 90-day extension because it's Christmas.
And all we asked
Merry
for.
Christmas.
We all asked for was, can we start the dialogue? That's all we
Right.
said.
In
And
90
you walked out.
after the holidays.
You walked
But
out.
Mike, but what
You
John
want-
is trying
I
to
don't
say
know
to
what you do for a
wait
living.
minute,
John, I know what you
Mike-
do for a living. Counselor, somebody comes into your office, you're in a buyout of a company, you're sitting down, a guy hands you a contract, vendors over there, you just see a contract, you're going to discuss it in front of everybody? Or you're going to take the contract home and read it and analyze it and pull it apart and then set up a meeting? So we go back to the same simple question. What damage was to the town of Carmel taxpayers or the town of Carmel to wait till after the holidays?
Mike, at that meeting, in the executive session, Mr. Lupinacci said, and I believe he said it to Mr. Charbonneau, he said, listen, let's try to get this thing done. I don't think we can. If we can't, we give it an extension. That's when 2 people in that executive session got up and walked out.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
And I said we
So
can't.
I am so sorry.
That's what, so
I
Mike, if you
apologize so
say-
much for walking
Mike,
out.
wait a
I did
minute.
not want to be part of it.
Mike,
You have a
I'm
you're
gonna
looking
be
at a different person.
respectful to you.
Anything I do in executive session, the public's gonna know once it's public, okay? If it's wrong, I'm leaving executive session. I will not interrupt you anymore. 90 days, after Christmas, we can do this then.
And I told you before, and I told you at that meeting, I told it to John Falchetti straight across, I didn't have a problem with 90 day, but I didn't have a problem with starting a dialogue. Because you could say, it's only a 90 day. To actually have a dialogue, that we invited you in there and we had there just a dialogue, a process. When you walked out, I texted you, I said, Mike, this is a negotiation, it's a process, it's communication, it's an evolution. And if you have so many concerns that's in your briefcase, if you brought up one or two of them, but it's a dialogue. And we started to go through it and looking at the other contracts, and we're at this stage right now. And looking at all of the expenses, this is not a large contract compared to other ones, compared to the meters that we just passed, compared to the $1 million that we're authorizing to. Mike, I know, Mayor,
This is what you're gonna have for 4 years.
and that's fine.
Somebody
And
makes a statement like that, I'm gonna call him out on it.
And I respect it, and I'm going to respectfully say, Mary Ann gave us a list. And for 4 years, it is $1.1 million that we gave that engineering firm, of which 150 is for fees and permits that were just a pass-through. So it's $1 million. His contract's for $120,000 a year, so you have to back.
Permits that were pass-throughs, that I've been questioned the last 4 years?
They are pass-throughs. And his previous contract allowed a 5% markup. He never put a 5% markup. This new contract, because he never did it, it's taken out. The remaining part is for water district number one, or sewer district number one. We were in violation. We were getting fined from it. We had to do that work, and he was the engineer. He's on retainer. He's the engineer to do the work. All of this work, it's $500,000 over 4 years for work that had to get done and work that came under budget, and it's not. Listen, is it a lot of money? Of course it is.
It's very easy to come under budget when you set the budget.
So, Mike, again, I look forward to working with you. We could start off, a little off, and because over my 6 years, we've had agreements and disagreements. I will say one thing. We've never disrespected one another, and I'm not going to start disrespecting anyone. We always talk about an idea or an opinion that we have, and that's what we're having a dialogue.
You know
So
when you
I look forward to
disrespected me,
it.
Mr. Lupinacci, Ms. McDonough, and Mr. Schneider? When you didn't give me the 90 days, and you disrespected the entire town of Carmel.
And you
And you
disrespected the entire town of
disrespected us
Carmel
when you
and
got- when you
everyone
and someone else
when you
got up
just
and
stood
walked
up and
out.
left.
When we want to have a dialogue.
It's-
So
it's
it's
a
both ways
board.
then, Mike.
Well, let me just say, hold on one second, Tracy. Just for full disclosure.
Sit in the front seat.
Susie didn't say who the other person was that walked out. It was me.
I'm not going to.
No, I'll say it.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you guys. I left, not because of Mr. Borelli leaving, all right? I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
I had a very,
He looked
very
bad.
bad stomach virus, that I've been dealing with, now the whole town knows, for the past couple of weeks. All right, and it really bothered me that night to the point where I couldn't stay. It
you
wasn't
upset.
that I didn't want to stay.
It wasn't me?
No, it wasn't
Thank
you.
you.
It wasn't John.
You're
No.
being kind. I was a pain, but thank you.
It was not. John was a little bit of a pain, but my stomach was more of a pain.
And I apologize to you, and I thank you.
felt bad.
So that's why I left. So that's one, you didn't know that. Otherwise, I would have stayed. But I'm sorry, Tracy.
Does Jonathan?
Oh. Do you have anything to say right now, Jonathan, or?
No, I refrain from saying anything that occurs in executive session without being an elected official, being invited in, absolutely a prerogative that he's able to exercise as he did tonight. I won't contest anything that was discussed. I just look forward to putting this one behind us, moving forward and working together. I'm sure that it can only get better from here, so I'm excited.
Okay. Tracy, come on up, Tracy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tracy Walsh. I live at 26 Bucyrus Avenue. I am proud to say that I was born and raised in the hamlet at 5 Cornish Road, where my mom still lives. And my mom and sister and I are here tonight. And I didn't really discuss this with Jen or Mommy yet, but I want to clarify why we're all here tonight, in my opinion. It's because of my mom. I don't want my mother to have to move. I have lived my entire life in the same zip code as my mom. And we made a promise, Jen and Mommy and I, that we were going to continue to do that, and we want it to be here. And I will admit that I have not always paid attention. And Mommy has said, the taxes are really getting hard. And I was like, yeah. And it's time to pay attention. So I started paying attention. Because when Mommy goes, Jen and I go too. And we've been here our whole life. Mommy got here in 1947. And we made a decision that this is where we want to stay. And if that means scrutinizing what gets done, then forget him, because I'm fighting for her. So I have one quick question before I have a few specific questions. When I was looking at the agenda today, I noticed that Exhibit A was not attached regarding Mr. Fulchetti's contract. It said the contract from 2013 was attached to the public. There was no attachment, at least none that I could find. So were you able to vote on something that wasn't made public?
Form is attached here, too.
For the public?
Yeah.
You have an attachment, but,
Oh, this wasn't on the agenda online?
no, sir.
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I repeat,
Exhibit was attached to the previous contract with Fulchetti. It's unchanged. It is a letter dated November 2nd, 2013, addressed to the supervisor regarding town consulting engineering service agreement. Sets forth a scope of services. That was attached to the previous contract, and it was also incorporated into this contract.
oh, I'm sure, that's not what I meant. I just meant that, oh, okay. For the public, it was not attached on the website. So the public did not have a chance to look at the contract from 2013 to see how it compares to this contract.
No, it's not, I don't want to mischaracterize it. It's not a contract. It was a scope of services agreement that the town entered into with the town engineer back in November of 2013.
Okay, well, Exhibit A.
But Tracy, you're saying, like, when you looked at
When I was on the website today,
the contract. was
doing
not
my
there.
research, I saw the contract,
Okay.
but in the first paragraph of the contract, after the preamble, it says, here, consulting engineering services to the town in form, scope, and detail as outlined in the proposal for engineering services dated November 2nd, 2013, and attached hereto as Exhibit A.
Exhibit A is the original request for proposal that was solicited back in 2013 that was signed by Mr. Fulchetti and the supervisor. It's incorporated into this contract by way of reference because it provides a scope of services. I don't know what was on the website.
Not that.
No.
It's not even part of our package.
But I thought the public should be able to see it before a public hearing.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know the open meeting laws.
I don't either, so I defer to, Were they able to vote on that tonight, since it wasn't attached, but it said it was attached on the website and on the agenda?
The contract was attached, but the actual scope of services was not. Is that?
Correct.
Okay. The board can vote on what is attached and incorporated into the resolution that they passed, and they can do that. That's valid. I don't know the scope of services. I'm not involved with this particular contract for obvious reasons. The scope of services is a foilable document. It's on file in the town somewhere. As long as the contract itself here was attached to it at the time of the vote, and presumably in the backup on the online minutes, then that will be satisfactory for the board to take action.
Okay, so then I have a few specific questions. I just want to be clear, because I'm a newbie. So Mr. Folchetti gets a fixed monthly fee of $10,000 payable on the first of each month. And then he is responsible for potable water, wastewater, highway capital projects, stormwater, planning board review oversight, parks and rec. He assists our other engineer, we're not as rich as Bedford, but we have another engineer, in implementing asset management, and he assists town grant writing. Now, that is part of his $10,000 a month. I'm just asking because I'm a little jealous, because cancer fighting is not nearly as lucrative. So regarding all of the above, highway, water, all of that, what you guys just voted for was that he gets every contract without a bid for all water and wastewater should be awarded automatically to him as long as the project does not exceed $2,250,000. Is that correct? He gets the bid automatically.
Correct.
Okay, just wasn't sure.
That's correct.
It's not a bid.
It doesn't.
Well, there is no bid. He just gets it.
It doesn't go out to bid.
It does not go out to bid. He just automatically gets the work.
It's not competitively bid.
Okay. And then, when he gets the automatic bid,
But
all right.
Sorry, but
When-
it's never a bid.
okay,
Even if this wasn't here, it's an RFP for professional services, so it's never a bid.
I'm using the wrong word, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
But just so the public knows, we could, because of it's an RFP and not a bid, you can pick and choose which one. It's not like the lowest responsible bidder, because you don't know what you may not know what you're getting, or it could be the lowest one.
Not like a
But-
school board where they
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to go out and
I
try
just-
to save the
so- yeah,
taxpayers as much money as
'cause
possible.
when some people hear the word bid, they get a concept
I'm
in
sorry,
their
all right,
head.
I'm gonna change that, and I appreciate that. So he just automatically gets the work. There's no bid. He automatically gets the work. And then, when he gets the work, he also charges an additional 7.5% of construction costs for his automatically awarded projects. That was your word, that was the wording in the contract. And then, okay, okay. And then 7% more, so it could go up to 14.5%
Different services.
over the for the automatically
No,
awarded
He doesn't get
project.
the 2 point, if a project, like here, we're gonna have a public hearing on Water District 2 up in Carmel. And the contract is $2.3 million.
Right.
That's the cost of the project. So then, because the project is 2.3, he would get the design service, the design work, the bid assistance. When I say bid there, that's when you go out to the contractors as who's gonna do the work, who's gonna build it to his design. And then, the 7% is the construction. He goes out and inspects and monitors that the construction company is doing everything within New York State Construction
But it's more
management.
money over his 150 or 10K a month, right?
Yes.
That he
One is-
gets.
one is-
Kenny, yes? Am I,
Yes, it
because
is.
I'm confused.
It's in
Just
addition
yes,
to the
yes.
10K a month.
In addition to the
One's-
10K a
One's
month,
basic service, and this is for projects.
he also gets more.
Yes.
More. So then if you go back to 7 and 8, if we know there's emergency repairs,
78 on the
yeah,
agenda.
on the resolution,
Got it.
so they're about $1 million, right? 7 and 8 on the agenda for the resolution of emergency sewer and water. So that probably comes.
Those aren't capital
Those are
projects.
capital projects.
I know, they're emergency repairs. So do they come under his venue?
Under the basic service.
Under
So
the
under the
10,000.
10,000, so he would do that work within his $10,000 a month consulting fee.
Well, the engineer does a lot of that, too. The town engineer, Rich Franzetti.
Both of them.
Both.
They actually both would be
In answer
involved.
to your question, no, John would not get extra. This is part of his
He's not going to get a
basic.
percentage of that. That's part of his basic service.
So if we know there's an emergency, why aren't we combining the emergency with the work that has to be done? We know that we're going to have to do a lot of, we're coming to have a hearing, okay? Number 9. We're having a public hearing about number 9 in January.
Yep,
Why
that's
don't
the
we
water.
why don't we combine the emergency, which has been going on for so long? It's an ongoing emergency of the hamlets. How long? We could combine that money. Then it would go over the 2.25 million, and we could put it out for a, can I say the word bid then?
It
We
is.
would- We would,
Yes, the construction would be a bid.
The construction,
then the
goes
construction
out
would
to
not
bid.
be an automatic
Right,
award, would it?
correct.
It would go out to a bid because it would be over the 2.25.
he,
The public work goes out to bid if it's over 35,000 for the physical work,
the construction work.
construction work.
I just think the fact that I'm so confused points out to the fact that we should have had a 90-day extension so that we could have learned more. Because you know that I have the utmost respect for all of you. It's so much money. It's so much money. Don't have temper tantrums with each other and spend our money. My mother can't afford it.
Yeah, my mom can't either. Most of us can, unfortunately. It's sad. Yeah, yeah. And just so you guys know, resolution number 7 was for a generator. Unfortunately, we don't know, that's why it's an emergency, Tracy, we don't know when a generator is gonna go. Just like if you have something at your house and all of a sudden your oil burner goes, you don't know it. You know, so.
But John doesn't handle
but-
generators.
He
but-
doesn't-
No,
he
I know,
doesn't-
but she mentioned
7
7 and
had
8.
nothing to do.
I just needed to.
7 had
to-
nothing to do with his basic services.
Right, I just needed to clarify that's all. Because it's very confusing, and I'm right there with you, it's very confusing. You have to reread it and read it and read it, you know, so.
But
Well, I
just,
think that's to Tracy's point, though.
but the Tracy,
That's
ju-
what
But,
ju-
Tracy's
but,
point.
but
It's
I have,
confusing.
it is, it's very confusing.
yeah.
But we do it, you know, if you, just like if somebody went into the American Cancer Society, it would be very confusing for me. But for you, it's like, you can just do it because you've done it. So it's just a learning process, that's all. And if you're going to be more involved, that's great because it'll pick up. You'll start seeing it and understanding it a little bit
The other
more.
thing, if I may add, we don't create work for him. The work is there, and he gets it under a certain amount. He gets the design and management under a certain amount thresholds, and we cap how much he can make. His previous bills have fluctuated between 13 to 15% for those two activities. So I just, yes, because if you,
You back that back up?
at that meeting,
Because my number's double yours.
I know, when you and I discussed it in your office that night, but at executive session, John Fulchetti produced all of and it was handed out, and
How can I produce 4 jobs for you right now?
it was
30%.
I don't know, because you're looking at, you're including
I'm including everything.
surveys and permits that are passed through. He doesn't make any money.
Pass through, that's the word. That's the word, I forgot, pass through.
So, but we gave it to Mary Ann, she was at the meeting, at the executive session, and she reviewed it, and she tied it out to the sheets that she gave you to do it.
That's the same word that you used for permits. That when
That-
you
that
did sewer,
per-
when you
per-
did sewer,
per- permit-
water 8, I believe, up in Vista.
Permits-
And I said there's $35,000 a make-up number.
Permits
That's a
and-
pass-through number.
Permits and
I
surveys.
forgot, I gotta remember that, pass-through.
Permits and surveys.
Yeah, surveys, well, in your last, you know, for 20 years,
Greg's
this
being-
was
Right,
not
just-
done.
just stay
For
there,
20
Greg.
years, that's what you were gonna say. For 20 years, he was gonna say, we never did this. We started doing this 4 years ago. Up to 4 years ago, there was no such thing as the word pass-through.
Is it
4
true?
years ago, we had a bid
I know
on
you're
a
not allowed to-
$2 million
but-
job.
But is that true for
The
general
engineer came in
municipality
at
law?
90,000.
The
I have
permit
that too if you
requirements
wanna
are
see
the
it.
permit requirements, okay? If you're working in DOT right away, if you're working in the county right away, if you have stormwater pollution prevention plans, there are permits that are required, so.
Hi, happy holidays, everybody. Greg Elner, I live in the Hamlet of
I
Farmville.
never heard the word pass-through used until tonight.
No, guys, when I say the
I
word.
honestly didn't,
No, but when I
so-
say the word
so
pass-through
just
is,
try-
we're looking, Mr. Borelli had asked Mrs. Maxwell for a vendor activity form to illustrate that it's $1.1 million. But his firm gets some of that money and then takes it and reimburses the surveyor and New York State permits. That's what I mean by pass-through. He's not making that money. The check from the town to John Falchetti is there, and then he takes that and reimburses the surveyor and there. So that's what I mean by when I say pass-through. He's not, I'm sorry? He's passing it through he's reimbursing it.
Reimbursed expenses, that's all.
On the Vista Water,
Okay. It's reimbursement. He's reimbursing other outside services.
on the Vista Terrace.
Thank you, Anthony.
There was a $35,000 item on there for permits. I asked for the permit fees for the last year. You told me it's a fee that the engineer charges
Come to the mic so the
procure
public
the
can hear.
permits.
Mike.
For the public to
come up
hear
the
you.
mic so the public can hear this. Can hear you. Sorry, Greg.
This is the 10th time I brought this up. On the Vista Terrace water job, there was a price in there for $35,000 or $35,500, give or take $1,000. That was for permitting. And I says, tell me what permit the town paid $35,000 for. And you told me that's the cost of getting it, of doing it. There were no fees. The Board of Health's fee was maybe $500, if that. There are no fees. That is what the engineer charged to do it, to go through the agencies. There is not a dollar fee. Do not insult my intelligence. How many times do I have to just, I showed you last time. 90 days. We could do this after Christmas.
Greg?
Again, happy holidays. Hi, everybody. I got a question. I appreciate some clarification on your public hearing for Water District 2. What I believe I heard read aloud was that the public hearing is regarding to 1,300 linear feet of piping. What's printed here is 13,000.
The report's 12,600.
So 13,000.
Yes, sir.
13,000 is correct. Okay, that's what I wanted to verify. And the other
I
thing.
apologize if I read that. I think it was me who read that.
Yeah.
The total linear
The
footage.
other thing is regarding this contract, you guys have it section 4, where the indemnification from running a business in the water and the wastewater industry, and I'm going to go to Councilor Charbonneau. I'm not comfortable where we give the vendor, who's a hired expert, all sorts of indemnifications. If I was entering into a contract in my business, which is in the same area, I'd want that expert indemnifying me, or in this case, the town. I would hope that you would take a look at that in greater detail and see if you could work that out, because I want the town protected. Errors and omissions, That's why they have to have that type of insurance. But the way I read this contract is that if something goes wrong, the vendor is responsible for absolutely nothing with the exception of negligence. And I don't think that's fair.
Thanks, Greg. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak on the agenda items that we covered tonight? Come on up at this time. You guys have anything else on this, or no? No? Okay. All right, we're gonna now go to the new forum, new business open forum portion of the meeting where you can come up and address the town board with any new business, town-related issues, concerns, questions, comments that you may have with respect to the town of Carmel. Must be a resident, business owner, or taxpayer to come up during this portion of the meeting. Come on up at this time if you have anything. Okay, there being none, does the town board have any, I have a presentation to make, but I was gonna make it after we made our announcements. Does anybody have any
I
announcements?
just want to say Merry Christmas, and hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas, and Hanukkah, I think, just ended
Last night was the final night.
last night, yeah, and to have a happy and healthy New Year.
Okay, can everybody stick around for a couple of minutes until we close? I have a presentation to make to Councilman Lombardi.
I have one item that Kenny just handed me. Carmel Town Hall will be closed the following days for the holidays: Monday, December 25th, 2017, and Monday, January 1st, 2018. So on the two Mondays, the 25th, Christmas, and New Year's Day, the 1st, Town Hall, this building here, will be closed. A personal announcement, I just want to say Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. That's it.
Okay, thanks, John. Jonathan, do you have anything?
Happy holidays to all. Hanukkah, Christmas, Festivus, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, happy holiday. Hopefully it's a safe one. I want to send a great gratitude to all the residents of the town of Carmel, which includes all our hamlets, our firefighters, our library, our school districts. Everybody has again stepped up. Our town hall filled up another box for us for Toys for Tots. It was just a resounding amount of support that has come out through the community again this year, and thank you very much to all the residents who had donated. Even though we may believe that we live in, one of the most affluent counties in the country, we still have a lot of people who are in need, especially this time of year. So it's very important to, if you have a little bit extra, to give a little bit extra, because there are neighbors out there who are struggling. So thank you to anybody who supported, and always looking for volunteers, always looking for organizations to help distribute toys around this time. So thank you again for all the support.
Great, thanks, Jonathan. Frank, did you have any final thoughts?
I'll say.
Okay. All right. As you all know, Councilman Lombardi, this is his final meeting as a member of the Town of Carmel Town Board. I just want to say that Frank and I have served side by side, sitting next to each other for the past 8 years. For 6 of those 8 years, Frank served as the honor and pleasure and of Frank being my designated deputy supervisor for the town of Carmel. And, that I just don't hand that out to just anyone. I handed it out to Frank, and I designated Frank as my deputy supervisor because of his energy, his commitment, his dedication, and his desire to help the residents of the town of Carmel. And he did just that over the past 8 years. He did a fantastic job. Frank was always there when I needed him as my deputy supervisor to attend events and functions and be out in the community just at different organizations and things like that. And Frank never hesitated. He always said, sure, absolutely, I'll be there for you. And he was. Frank is also an Eagle Scout, and some of you probably weren't aware of that, but he also attended a lot of the Eagle Scout Court of Honor ceremonies that were held by our troops in the town of Carmel. Frank was there representing the town of Carmel. He represented us well. He did a phenomenal job. And, Frank, I just want to tell you that you're certainly going to be missed, sitting to the right of me for the past 8 years. Susie's going to be moving over into your seat at some point, right, Sue? Yeah. So
over there, then.
Susie will be my right-hand person for the next, at least probably the next 2 years, so that I know of. So Frank, I know about the board feels the same way, you know, that you've contributed so much to this community, and the community members will tell you that too. You know, I don't have to tell you that. The community members will tell you that. And, you know, we appreciate, and I want to thank you for your 8 years of service to the residents of the town of Carmel. And don't go anywhere, you know, stay involved, stay engaged in the community, keep doing what you're doing, and, you know, you're involved in a lot of civic groups and organizations in the community. Stay active in those, stay involved in those, because they need you there. You know, and we need you there as a resident of the community. And if we're doing something wrong, come to the meeting and tell us we're doing it wrong, right? That you're not happy with what we're doing, you know. So thank you so much, Frank, from the bottom of my heart, you know, for what you've given us for the past 8 years. And, you know, continue to do good things for the community. And who knows, maybe we'll see you back someday somewhere. But thanks again for your commitment and dedication. I do have a plaque for you. So let's go up to the podium, and I'm going to present you with the plaque. Board, do you want to join me?
Sure.
Susie?
Where's the plaque?
Dan has it. So come on over, Frank. Nice plaque, isn't it? Nice. Mike, you'll be getting one of these one day. So we present plaques to all the retiring town board members, and Frank doesn't like me to use the word retiring because he's really not. Too young. He's not really retiring. He's too young to retire. He's too involved in the community to retire. So he's taking a little bit of a break. So, Frank, I'm just going to read the plaque to you. Town of Carmel acknowledges with deep gratitude Frank D. Lombardi for 8 years of dedicated service as a town councilman and 6 years as deputy supervisor for the town of Carmel, and the dates are January 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2017. Congratulations, Frank. Thanks so much. Thank you. All right. Great job. Thank you.
I know. Sure. This podium is,
Yeah, let's turn this around. Okay.
I just want to thank the town board and for their support, mostly their friendship over the last 8 years or so. A lot of people have said, well, the board just agrees to everything together, and I kind of think back, that's not really the case, because since we are friends, we either talk on the phone, we text, we argue, we apologize to each other on occasions. John? We've done that many times before. But at the end of the day, we come to a consensus on what's the best thing for the taxpayers and for the town of Carmel. So after some discussion and arguing, when we get up here, we try to present a united front, and that's what we did. I got into this for the right reasons, I think. I was on the soccer field, or on the football fields with Mark. I'm glad he's here, and Anthony, I'm glad you're here as well. Mark, I don't think you were here just for this, but thank you for being here. Thank you for being here.
Anthony made it.
Anthony was, for sure. I think I made a positive contribution to the town. I think the town is better off today than it was 8 years ago. Fiscally, we're much better off. We continue to wage the war on opiates and drugs, and I've been a vocal leader for that. I think most of you know that. We've passed some laws to help our kids to not go in that direction. And I'm going to ask the board to make sure we continue to move in that direction, to punish those who sell drugs in our community, and to provide services and to look after those kids who have gone that way. And drug crisis in our backyard, and Laura Perimeter, she's Frank's niece. She's helped me along the way to understand a lot of things about that. So it's been my pleasure and my honor to serve. Who knows, I may do it again someday, but I will continue practicing law. And more importantly, I'll be continuing to be a dad to Anthony, Frankie, and Alexa. And that's the most important job. So thank you very much for everybody. And good luck. And good luck to the new town board. I know you guys will do a lot of good stuff. And I was told I have a seat already if I need it. It'll be vacant for the next few years. And believe me, don't ever mistake my kindness for weakness. I have a method to what I say up there because I try to make sure it's respectful. But I'll be one of 37,000 taxpayers looking after making sure what's being done here in town is being done correctly. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. We're just going to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor?
Kenny, motion to adjourn.
Hold on. We just have to close the meeting. All right. Board, just give us 2 more minutes. Hold on, Ann. Keep the camera on. Keep the tape on. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to adjourn. We have to adjourn the meeting. Okay, so just bear with me for a half a minute. On behalf of the Town of Carmel and the Town Board, we want to wish everyone out there happy holidays, a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever applies to you. Please spend the holidays with your family, because that's really what it's all about. Enjoy one another's company, eat lots of good food, pray for one another, thank the Lord for everything that the Lord has blessed us with, and let's all look forward to a very happy and healthy Happy New Year in 2018. So I do need a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Motion by Councilman Lombardi, second by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well, stay healthy. See you next time. January 3rd for an organizational meeting.